that, huge outrage now growing within China over Dalai Lama's decision to in fact decide on a successor within his trust. Just days before Dalai Lama turns 90, he has made his message loud and clear. The institution of Dalai Lama will continue and only a Tibetan-run trust will decide who succeeds him. Addressing over 100 monks at his monastery in Dharamshala, the 14th Dalai Lama has declared that his reincarnation will be chosen by his own religious community, in fact, and nobody else. It will not be dictated by any political power, basically hinting at China. He's entrusted the Gaden Phodrang Trust, which is basically led by his own closest advisors and senior monks, with a sacred task of finding his successor. But this puts him on a direct collision now with China. Beijing has insisted it must approve the next Dalai Lama, invoking a centuries-old imperial ritual of drawing names from a golden urn. In fact, China has hinted that they might anoint their own successor. Let's listen in to what China has to say.
The Chinese government implements a policy of freedom of religious belief and has issued regulations on religious affairs and the management of the reincarnation of living Buddhas in Tibetan Buddhism, protecting this way of succession in accordance with the law. The reincarnation of the Dalai Lama must adhere to the principle of domestic search, golden urn draw, and approval by the central government, and be handled in accordance with religious rituals, historical customs, and national laws and regulations.
All right, the trust has now, Dalai Lama's trust has dismissed any possibility of China's involvement here, saying no reincarnation born in Chinese-controlled Tibet will be tolerated or recognized. The next Dalai Lama, they say, will be found in a free land. And in a bold step, this time, they're keeping it open, all options open. Next Dalai Lama, they say, could also be a woman or even someone born outside India. It could likely be a foreigner, anyone. Now, let's play out an earlier reaction itself of Dalai Lama, where he said exactly this, confirming his thoughts.
If it is about Lama's reincarnation, when all the followers have unanimously said that the reincarnation should continue, then it is obvious that it will come. Since my September 24th, 2011 statement, which states that responsibility for doing so will rest exclusively with members of the Gaden Phodrang Trust, the office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. They should consult the various heads of the Tibetan Buddhist traditions and the reliable oath-bound Dharma protectors, who are linked inseparably to the lineage of the Dalai Lamas. They should accordingly carry out the procedures of search and recognition in accordance with past tradition. I hereby reiterate that the Gaden Phodrang Trust has sole authority to recognize the future reincarnation. No one else has any such authority to interfere in this matter.
Now, the announcement from today has triggered global ripples. The United States has also backed Dalai Lama's right to determine his own succession, warning China against any interference. As a spiritual leader enters his 90th year, his message couldn't be more timely or more defiant. A gentle monk that he is, with a global voice now, is setting the stage for a geopolitical showdown over who will carry forward a 600-year-old legacy. At least for Dalai Lama, the next Dalai Lama will not be made in China.